How's it going, Critter Family? Hope you all are doing well. Today we are going over a video by Beckman's Dog Training. We are back at it with Beckman. How to handle all distractions on walks so your dog doesn't pull or react to anything. That is quite the title because it sounds like he's going to be like a one and done type of thing. This is something that takes time and it's management with your dog. That if you don't want your dog to be distracted on a walk, or I mean, what is distraction on a walk? A dog being able to, a dog not being able to sniff something, a dog not being able to look at something. I mean, if you take the same walk that you take every single day and you just go on the same path every day for years and years and years, and your dog probably isn't going to see something new. Or if they do, say one day your neighbor puts out or somebody puts out a flagpole. That's something new. That might distract your dog. Are you going to correct your dog for looking at the flagpole, or are you going to allow your dog to look at the flagpole? Are you going to allow your dog to look at distractions? Like what, there's going to be things that will distract your dog, but are distractions a bad thing? He says handle all distraction on a walk. So allowing your dog to look at things or not look at things depends on the individual who's walking their dog. I don't care if my dog looks at things and gets distracted on a walk. I just don't want them pulling me down, to get to the distraction, which would mean that I need to work with them around that distraction so they don't pull me down. They can look at the distraction, but I don't want them pulling me down. And I don't want them, twisting me up in the leash and getting all around my legs. That's all I care about. I don't care if they look at me constantly. I don't need a dog to constantly look at me. I allow them to walk in front of me. I allow them to walk and be a dog. He doesn't like that. He wants the dog to be constantly paying attention to him because, in my opinion, he's a control freak. And now, do I want the dog to pull? No. Do I want them to react to stuff? They're going to react to stuff eventually. It's just, I mean, depending on the severity of the reaction, that depends. Do I want a reactive dog in the sense of they see dogs and they bark and lunge and pull? No, we don't want that, but that takes time. You're not going to get that overnight. So we're going to look at Beckman's video a little bit, and we're going to look at my video about how I teach a dog to walk on a loose leash and how I handle distractions. I always have in the description below a link of how I walk dogs, and I'm going to put a card up here, and I'm going to make sure I remember to do so, to put a little card up here so that way you can see, a link to the video as well as we're going to look at my video anyway. But let's just get started.
This dog is here for a board and train because she pulls on walks, she barks on walks, generally not being a good walker. These people are paying a lot of money to send this dog, thousands of dollars to send this dog to us to get better on a leash.
Okay, so he charges thousands of dollars. I don't even charge hundreds of dollars. I don't charge hundreds of dollars for, I wouldn't take a dog in for a board and train to teach them how to walk on leash. I would work with the owner to teach them to walk on leash. Maybe depending on how bad the dog pulls on leash, I might take them for a little bit, but I'm not going to be charging thousands of dollars to teach a dog to walk on leash. This is something that's going to take time. You're not going to get there in one go. Because the dog pulls on leash, he puts a head halter on them. I would like to walk them in a regular harness. I'm not a fan of head halters. I might teach them to walk in a regular flat buckle collar, something a little wider than this, probably about twice as wide as this, an inch and a half to 2.5, to 2 inch wide collar, so it's nice and there's lots of surface area. But I would use a harness or a regular flat buckle collar on them. That's nice and wide. I'm not going to use a head halter on them unless you have a dog that is just outweighs their owner. In some cases, then we do use one of these, or I will use one of these, but I also try to teach the owner. I want to make sure if I'm putting my time in to work with the owner, that the owner is going to put the time in to work the way, we work, the way I work, the way I instruct them to work. I don't want them to just say, oh, well, I'm trying it, but it doesn't work, so let me just put a prong collar on the dog. Then I'm not going to work with you for any period of time. If you're just going to do that, I'm not going to waste my time. Now, if I start off with a head halter, I'm going to teach the dog to give into pressure. And I teach them not the way Joel does, where he yanks and cranks and he lets them get to the end of the leash and then he pops them. I'm going to show you here a quick little video of mine. This is what I mean by giving to pressure lightly. Okay, I've worked with Adonis at this point here is probably 10 or 11 years old, and when in this video, but I've worked with him since he was 6 months old. When he was 6 months old, he used to pull super duper hard, and it took him probably 6 months to learn to be as gentle as you're going to see him on leash, in every type of tool. It didn't take us 6 months of just working in a harness. It probably took me maybe a couple of weeks to teach him to be nice. Yes, a couple of weeks. It could have taken a month. That was a long, long, long time ago. But it took me at least a couple of weeks to teach him to walk softly in a harness using this much pressure.
I don't want him to eat this grass, which he likes to eat.
So you can see I'm using a finger.
Good. Now he came on his own with that. That wasn't because of the leash. I say I don't want him eating this. I'm going to pull him away from this.
I'm using a finger's worth of pressure, and he moved to it. It took me probably a good month to make him this soft to this pressure. 2 weeks to give in to pressure lighter than pulling like a crazy man, and maybe a month or so to get him to move into a finger's worth of pressure.
Pull him away again. Fingers, step, and loosen. Good boy.
And then over the years, I had continued to work with him with making him this light on pressure and keeping this. So I'm not yanking him with a full hand. I'm not yanking him at the end of his leash. I'm using a finger's worth of pressure. And I want to keep him from eating the grass because it makes him really itchy. It made him really itchy.
Now he's even pulling a lot more than normal because he wants to chew on this grass. But he gets itchy from it. I don't want him eating that. So this is just to demonstrate the pressure. So now we're walking.
So we're walking.
I don't care where he is in front of me. He can have this whole leash.
I think this is probably an 8-foot leash.
Now we'll just stop walking forward.
If he stops, he feels the tension on itself. He didn't go popping himself or clotheslining himself. I'm using a finger's worth of pressure.
This much. We're going to move him to the side.
I move to the side to get him off balance a little bit, to give him a little extra... to give me a little bit extra leverage so I can get him to want to move into the pressure so I'm not just pulling back on his spine.
Pressure, pressure, step, loosen.
He moves into it that easily.
Oh, yes.
Over here we have a distraction. I don't care that he's not looking at me. I don't care that he's focused on this other dog over here. He's not pulling on me. That's all I care about. He's not lunging and going crazy. If he were lunging and going crazy, then I would walk a few feet away, get him under threshold to where he can look like this, and then we would sit there and let him look at the distraction. If you're a reactive dog, then I would wait for him to look at me, and then I would reward him. And then I would allow him to look at the distraction again for a couple more seconds, and then I would wait, I would get his attention again, or I wait for him to look at me again, reward. We're just talking about loose leash walking right now. We're not talking about reactivity.
We might just go ahead and go anyway.
And then we continue walking. And then you're going to see here he gets spooked by some balloons.
And I've never jerked him or popped him to teach him to be loose like this.
He jumped a little bit because it moved. This is a distraction. I'm allowing him to look at the balloons and sniff them and investigate this distraction. Some nice cute little balloons here for Mother's Day. I'm letting him look and get over his fear of this distraction. Joel would stop his dog from looking at this distraction. I'm allowing my dog to be a better dog. I'm a better trainer this way. I'm a better owner this way. We're a stronger team together because I allowed him to, he was spooked by this and I allowed him to investigate. I don't want him to ignore all distractions. Does that mean I'm going to have him investigate every distraction? No. But I don't care that he looks at things and he gets distracted by things. Now, if I do care, then I can just simply tell him leave it and we will move on. But I don't charge anybody thousands of dollars to teach their dog to do this. I don't charge them hundreds of dollars to do this. So then we keep on walking, and that's my video just showing you how to give into pressure and allowing him to look at distractions. Look at that cute little butt. I really miss this little guy. So anyway, that was my video. Now we're going to look at Beckman's video and see what he does. I didn't need a head halter on Adonis. I never used a head halter on him. I tried it once and it didn't work out because I didn't condition it and I never went back. But I used a harness and a flat buckle collar that was nice and wide on him, and that was how I taught him.
So wouldn't it be great if you have a young dog that you don't have to send your dog away and spend a lot of money? I'm going to tell you what to do in this video so that you don't...
I told you what I do in my video, and I use that on every dog. I start them as puppies. I use it on middle-aged dogs, young dogs, older dogs. Like I said, puppies. Adonis learned to be that soft on leash before he was a year old. I didn't wait 10 years to teach him. He was that soft since he was a year old.
Have to spend
so
money
what's
so that
Beckman's
you're not behind
excuse?
the 8 ball at 2 years old or even a year old, that you've done the work early on. I have my puppy program. Go to beckmanpro.com. So dog, okay. And when the dog goes to go out the door, oh, she's with me. Perfect. She has bought herself a ticket out the door. If your dog cannot do that.
I don't like head halters. I don't like this big metal clip being here because it can easily hit the dog under the chin. This is another reason why I don't like head halters. Even if I do use one, I like to try to use, I try to use some other, like the other end of the leash or something to tie under there, so there's not this big metal heavy clip. Or otherwise, I'll use the halty where it clips to the collar as a backup, and then I'll have the halter the leash connects to the halter in like the midway point. But I just don't like this heavy thing hanging down and being able to smack the dog under the chin. That's why I don't use them.
Then you're going to give them a little correction, walk back in.
No, you don't need to give them any correction.
Towards the door. If your dog goes, dut, 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 they're not ready when they see Charlie at the fence out there because they can't even do it in your own house. That's the doorway method.
Just because you do it in the house does not translate to outside, because everything is different. If your dog learns to sit in here, that doesn't mean sit outside. That doesn't mean sit down the street. That doesn't mean sit when Charlie's present. That doesn't mean sit when chickens are present or when another person is present or you're at the dog park. Sit only means sit in this environment, and you have to proof it in every other environment.
If you have a crazy puller, go ahead and release them. Okay. And then...
So he's saying trick them, turn them around, pop them on the face with this, pop them on the collar with this, because he doesn't use harnesses. Pop them on the collar, pop them on the face with this, and correct them and risk damaging their face and their spinal cord and all that.
Come back and give a correction. There is no cue. People think that when I say okay, and then the dog literally is 6 feet in front of me, 6 foot leash, 2 foot arm, the dog.
So he's just being an idiot and lying to the dog and saying, okay. So now he's teaching the dog, okay means nothing. Okay means stay. No matter what he says, the only release is his body moving forward. He is so confusing to the dog. He's literally confusing the dog, and then so he can correct it. He works for corrections.
8 feet in front of me, that I give correction that was unfair.
It is unfair.
When is a release means the dog can literally fly anywhere. There is no release in history that is...
Then when he says okay and the dog gently walks outside, that's still not okay for him. That's still not good enough for him. He wants the dog to be afraid to go anywhere without his say-so. Okay, boss. Okay, scratch the face, boss. Get some water, boss. Sit down, boss.
Fly wherever
He's
you
a
want to go.
slave master, and the dog is the
stimulus
slave.
of the leash is on. That release, that cue does not exist. I'll show you. Sit. That's the worst and slowest sit I've ever seen in my life.
Who cares? He has to snap his fingers. The dog doesn't know you. The dog doesn't associate you with sit. The dog doesn't associate sit in this room. The dog may know sit. The dog did sit. But who cares how slow it is? He clearly cares. I don't think that the owners care. Well, maybe the owners care too. Then if they do, then they're a bunch of fools as well.
Okay. Perfect. Almost perfect. Good enough. Okay, now let's go.
The dog didn't race out the door. The dog walked out the door gently. They didn't fly anywhere. But that's still not perfect for him because he wants the dog to be perfect. You were the furthest thing from it, Joel.
So she's within criteria, as I call it. Was it good? Was it great? No. You want...
It was absolutely fantastic to me. It was fantastic. You're just a blind fool who's just so over controlling.
to release. You want to be like, okay, you want the dog to think it's free, because when you're... Now there
Ouch.
you go. She's on a leash. This is the cue. There is no verbal cue.
Ouch.
What are you just going to say, heel?
It may not necessarily hurt lip lick. It may not necessarily hurt the dog to be detrimental to their health, but when you yank on their face like that, or you tug on their face like that, this is around sensitive nerves on the face. It's going to cause some kind of discomfort. Otherwise, the dog would fight through it and it wouldn't do anything. Like a flat buckle collar, they'll choke themselves to death. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It's the opposition reflex that causes them to pull.
Every 10 seconds. Oh, now we have a dog that's with.
So he only ever wants a dog to heel with him. He doesn't give them the leash to be a dog. He, just like every other trainer, wants the dog to heel with them, except for a few good trainers out there.
Us. So that was a tough area. That's a tough area because it goes into the walk. Think about your own house. The doorway is tough. Then when you start doing, you take that left and go on the street, that's a tough part because that's when you turn and just keep walking. So you got to do a turn right there. That's the equivalent of this turn here. Now, the minute she leaves me, good, check in right there. The minute she, check in right there, without treats. The minute she leaves me.
Yeah, because you just yanked her on the face. Of course, it's easy to use this and correct a dog. It's easy to correct a dog. I say this all the time. It is so easy to correct a dog. It takes skill to actually use treats at the right time, use positive reinforcement at the right time, not have to rely on something that's going to yank your dog on the face, not rely on something that's going to control the dog's head. If you use a head halter, the way it works is you control the dog's head, you're going to control the rest of the body. The body will follow the head.
And I do what's called tester stops. She's with me. You're the best girl in the world. I could give verbal or food reinforcement. Be careful with, oh my God, what a good girl, because that gets them excited. It's not really fair to hype them up when you're about to go on a walk and you want the opposite of
Ouch,
hype.
ouch, that was entirely unnecessary. He did not need to pop her. You don't pop at all, period. With this head halter, the way he teaches it, the stop and the pop is not the way you use this tool. This tool is meant to stop the pulling on its own. You don't stop and pop. You don't yank at the end of a 6-foot leash because you have so much leverage at the end of this leash. These people are paying thousands of dollars for this man to abuse their dog.
So that was a stop, not a turn. Perfect criteria. There's criteria for reinforcement. There's criteria for punishment. Operantly punishing. Criteria for punishment, for a correction, is leaving you.
Ouch.
Criteria for reinforcement is staying by you. Now,
That by then, that correction is way too late. Because the dog is way over here, he has to walk backwards and then pop the dog. So the dog could think that they're getting popped for looking at him.
I could use treats, I will. Great, good, beautiful. The other criteria.
See, if that's all
the
he
other
did, then he wouldn't have to
reinforcement
worry
for
about
staying near
correcting
you
the
is that
dog.
The walk continues, because that's
I don't use treats on my walks. I let the dog continue the walk. If they were pulling me and I were to stop and they were to continue walking, then I would stop just like I did with Adonis.
If I don't want him to pull,
He's ahead of me.
stop walking forward.
I stop walking forward.
Tight.
He stops.
You can see I use this much. We're gonna move him to the side.
Fingers worth of pressure.
Pressure, step.
He gives in and he stands there. I don't have to pop him.
Oh, yes.
He's allowed to walk in front of me. He's allowed to sniff. He's allowed to be distracted. He doesn't have to focus on me all the time.
Back. Now there's a loose dog over there.
juxtaposed, first time I've ever used that word, to turning or stopping. And the walk, the taking away the walk is actually the correction, actually the operant punishment.
No, the pop is the correction. Not taking away the walk. Popping is the correction.
Leash correction doesn't hurt.
Yes, it does. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. You can't tell me that popping a dog on the face with a halter doesn't hurt. Otherwise, if it didn't cause any kind of discomfort or any kind of negative type of association, it wouldn't work. The dog would not stay by your side. You can't tell me it doesn't hurt. When you have leverage, if you put something on your face and someone walks 6 feet away and popped you as little as it takes to pop at the leverage of 6 feet away from your face on with something wrapped around your nose, you would say that it would hurt. It would be at least discomfort. It's uncomfortable or discomfort at the least, and it's painful at the most. You can't tell me that this doesn't hurt. Stop lying.
So where's the punishment? Taking away the walk is the
No,
punishment.
the punishment is the pop. Stop lying. You can lie to yourself, you can lie to your viewers, you can lie to people that you're abusing their dog for thousands of dollars, and those idiots can believe you just like everybody else. Or they can actually open their eyes and say, wow, we paid this guy to mistreat our animal, pop him on the face when we could have done that. Or they don't have to do that at all. They don't have to pay anybody thousands of dollars to mistreat an animal in the name of training.
Taking away the place they want to go is the punishment, and going where you've already gone is the punishment. All within criteria, but now it's opening
bumps
up
her
to
in the
another
head.
street,
Ouch.
and I don't know where she's going.
Ouch.
I just do
I
these
don't know
little-
why he continues to pop her.
Moves.
Ouch. Ouch.
This is before it gets hard. It's about to get hard. And this dog
Ouch.
is not good enough.
People get mad at me all the time because I say ouch. I'm trying to speak up for the dog. Instinctively I say ouch, but that's the timing that he's using to pop the dog on the face, or pop the dog on the collar, or even pop a dog on a harness. That's the timing of the correction. The dog may not be saying ouch. And if you don't like it, then don't watch. I'm trying to speak up for the dog here.
There was a turn into me. 4 times of doing some little weird moves.
Not
Now-
weird moves, popping the dog on the face probably 5 or 6 times, because a lot of those times you popped the dog twice. So it could be closer to 7 or 8 times. 7 or 8 corrections. This guy corrects so much on a walk. If you have to correct more than twice, then don't continue using the method.
She's with me. Now she says, I better keep an eye on this guy. Keep them on the same side. And then when you get to a spot for them to pee, you release them. Here's what I do. I'll act like this is released right here. There's no sidewalks here, but I go, okay. I release.
But you said okay earlier, and you corrected them for going anywhere. So now you say okay, and she's allowed to go. So the doorway method can be very confusing when you say okay, because earlier the dog didn't want to go out the doorway because you corrected her when you said okay and she did.
them okay
So
is
now-
not fly. Okay is a release. Okay. And then I kind of extend my arm and I go, smell.
So
Do
now
your
you're
thing.
undoing what you did in the doorway. You're going to make it that much more confusing for the dog that okay means move sometimes it doesn't, and the dog never knows when they're going to get a correction.
Do. I'll even let them like pull a little bit, smell, pee, do their thing.
So now he lets them pull when it's time to go potty. He is so confusing to the dog. All these little things that he does are if you didn't speak English and somebody, is trying to teach you something, but they use contraptions. If there's an alien that puts contraptions on you that are as foreign to you as it is for a dog to have something around their face like that. If somebody put some weird contraption in our mouth, like we put a bit in a horse's mouth, or put some kind of weird halter on our face, like we put on any other animal's face, it's like as weird as having a halter on a cat's face. Trying to teach your cat to walk on a face halter. Or trying to teach your dog to walk in a face halter. It's just as foreign to them as it would be if an alien did that to us and they started trying to walk us and control us like we were their pets. And then sometimes they tell you, bling blong, and you start, they make a motion like you can walk forward. You go to walk forward, they correct you. And then other times they're like bling blong, and they extend their arm out, and then you're afraid to go forward, but you move forward and you're allowed to. Sometimes you're allowed to pull, sometimes you're not. It's just as confusing to the dog as it would be to a human who is in the same position as the dog.
Investigate whatever they want to do. Then when it's time to walk again, I shorten the leash and I stand here for a minute and I say, let's go. And that's the cue that we are walking again. The true cue is that the leash is short.
I'd rather give them a specific cue that says, let's go. I would rather give them a let's go cue. That means that we're continuing our walk instead of just shortening up the leash and snubbing them up out of nowhere. Yes, that can be a cue. Dogs are smart enough to see that that is a cue, but I'd rather give them a verbal cue that says, okay, let's go. Hurry up and finish sniffing, and we're going to keep moving.
Environmental cue, because I don't want to say heel. My clients come to me and say heel, 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 and the dogs don't listen. Where's the dog going? Just to
Ouch.
stop.
Lip lick.
Oh, now she's with me. Why did she do that right there and not right there? Because it opened
Because you popped her on the face.
up into this turn and a whole new world. There's been 1, 2, 3, 4 moments that I needed to stop. And she has left me at all those moments of where, for you,
These people are wasting their money and their time. They don't need to spend thousands of dollars to pay this guy to pop their dog on the face with a halter. What a waste of money. What a waste of time. And he's just mistreating their animal.
out the door, taking a left, going down a block, taking a right. You got to get them on your page at those moments. Those are very important moments. Really putting the leash on and taking one step towards the door in your house.
This is a beautiful dog, by the way. Very, very cute.
Is also a moment. With
Ouch.
me.
She looked at you. You popped her. She gave a lip lick. She looked at you, but you still popped her.
Great. Great. This has been one treat.
Which didn't mean anything by now. This has been probably 20 corrections that we've seen, if not more. If somebody wants to count them, then count them and let me know in the comments below. Probably at least 20 corrections, if not more.
Painful corrections. Gentle leader, yeah, gentle leader is just a good
What did he
tool.
say about painful corrections?
Gentle leader, yeah, This has been no painful corrections.
Oh, bullshit. You're an absolute liar. Because the dog didn't yelp does not mean it was not painful. The dog gave lip licks. Lip licks are a sign of anxiety. The dog is trying to relieve anxiety, probably because you hurt their face because they have the halter on. If it didn't hurt them, it wouldn't work. If it didn't cause some sort of discomfort, I'm not saying that it's necessarily painful, but we can't tell because the dog can't tell us if it's painful unless it's so painful that they yelp. If that's the only way that we judge an animal by being in pain is when they're yelping, because it is they are masters of hiding pain. I've seen when I volunteered at an animal shelter in Texas, there was a dog with a broken leg that was broken in 2 spots that was dangling off of its body in 2 different places, and people were jogging with this dog. It wasn't the shelter that I was working with, but the shelter I was working with and volunteered with was on the same property as the animal care services that were in Texas at the time when I lived in Texas. So we were on the same property as them, and this dog was from the animal care service or animal care center, whatever you want to call it, and they had people looking at this dog with a broken effing leg, and they were jogging with it and nobody noticed, and the dog was defecating on itself because it was in so much pain or because it was so nervous, and people were walking it around and jogging it, and it's hopping on its one leg and nobody noticed. And I had to tell the people twice, you have a dog with a broken leg here that is obviously broken and dangling off its body, and you have people out here walking it. Take it back to its kennel and put a sign up that says that it's not able to be taken out. And that dog was not yelping in pain. That dog was not screaming. And they had a broken leg. And they were being jogged with it. I mean, dogs are masters of hiding their pain. So don't tell me that this doesn't hurt the dog. Don't tell me that this was not a painful correction. You can lie to yourself, Joel, but you can't lie to the dog. The dog doesn't lie. If it wasn't uncomfortable enough, the dog would not be staying here. And you've still given probably 25, 30 corrections by now.
Gentle leader, yeah, gentle leader is just a good tool.
No, it's not. It's a terrible tool. I really disagree with them. I don't think that they should exist. Just like prong collars, choke chains, slip leads, e-collars, shock collars, whatever you want to call them. I don't think any of those tools should exist, but they do because they work by using pain and they make good money for trainers.
Never said thank you. They have never contacted me They have never done anything.
Yeah, they're not going to say thank you because you misuse their product. Gentle Leader does not want you to does not support you in how you use their product. They don't need to say thank you. They need to tell you, hey, stop using our product or stop using our name or stop, we're certainly not endorsing you because you're being abusive with the tool when you use it on the animal. The product itself says never yank or pop on your dog with this.
So the fact that I keep promoting them is insane. Well, it's not insane. It's a great tool. So,
No, it's
what
not.
am I going to do if they don't appreciate the 10,000 Gentle Leaders I've sold over the years? So now she's being perfect. This is a dog that had leash reactivity. I know you don't see it, but
This is Sundays for Dogs. Sundays is human-grade, air-dried dog food. 90% meat.
it wasn't really to show you leash reactivity. It's to show you all these moves. And then, by the way,
He popped her twice there. She gave a lip lick.
don't be afraid to just turn on a walk. You don't
Don't-
have to go.
I don't have a problem with turning on a walk. Just don't go popping your dog. And he popped her twice there. Why did he pop her twice? Why did he need to pop her once, let alone twice?
Same way every single time. Make the dog be like, what the heck's going on? Why is this lady turning and just walking the other way?
No, I would rather not do that and just surprise the dog. I would rather give the dog a cue and say, let's go, and turn this way. If the dog is getting ahead of me, then I might say, let's go, and I would turn and allow the dog to catch up to me, and then we would continue walking. And instead of going in a circle or going in an oval, back and forth and back and forth, that's not really how I teach walks. But if I want to make sure that I have my dog's attention, then I might do that a couple times.
Oh, then
Ow,
the dog
ow, ow,
starts to-
ow, ow, dude. Okay. So he's just gonna keep walking this dog. Oh, did he push the butt down? For sit? Let's look at this sit.
We'll do sit. And we're not going to accept from a 3-year-old dog
Shoves the butt down.
slowest sit in the history of the world.
Who effing cares how slow a 3-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 45-year-old dog sits? I don't care if it's a 3-month-old dog, a 3-week-old dog, a 3-day-old dog, or a 13-month-old dog. I don't care how old the dog is. If you ask them sit and they take a little while, that means that you need to really reinforce sitting, which makes no sense to the dog. Why should they sit when they're on a walk? They don't normally sit when they're outside on a walk. Or maybe they do. One time I asked Adonis, because I never asked him for sit on a walk, and people overuse sit so much, the dog gets so effing tired of it. The dog really gets tired of having to sit all the time for every little thing they do. Eating, drinking, going through a doorway, sitting for attention, sitting for pets, just sitting to sit. Sitting because it because it makes you look more polite, because of whatever. Being told to sit is overused in my opinion. Can you use it for things? Use sit as much as you want to, but just understand that you need to give your dog some other reason to sit. When I was walking Adonis once, I asked him to sit, and it took him 5 minutes to sit on his own. I didn't repeat the cue. I used a hand cue once, which I guess in a way could be me repeating the cue, but I didn't verbally repeat it. I said, sit. He didn't sit after a couple of seconds. I gave him the hand signal. He still didn't sit after a couple of seconds, so I waited, and it took him 5 minutes before, not moving anywhere, before he figured out, oh, okay, I'm supposed to sit. He gave a couple lip licks after he sat, and I said, okay, let's move on. I didn't have treats with me at the time, so I didn't lure him into position. I didn't lure him with a fake treat. I just waited for him to sit and figure it out, and he did. And he gave lip licks because he thought maybe he was in trouble, because he's not used to sitting on a walk. And after that, I didn't ask him to sit anymore. When we came to the end of a crossing area, then he knows to sit, because there's more of that tactile cue, that visual cue that, hey, we're getting off the sidewalk and we're crossing the street, but even then, I didn't ask him to sit. I would just have him stand there. So I didn't ask him to sit a lot on walks. And I don't care if he was 10 years old or 3 years old or 9 months old. I don't care how quickly they sit, and you don't ever shove a dog's butt down. You don't put pressure on the spine like that. If I want to ask a dog sit and they don't sit when they're standing there because they're confused, then I'll walk around a little bit, I'll turn some circles, I'll ask sit again, and usually it's automatic. If the dog understands sit. But even then, I would walk around, Try to change it. If they didn't sit, then I would say, okay, I'm just going to wait here until you sit. I'm not going to force you down. I'm not going to worry about the quickest sit in the world. I don't care what your age is. I care about your comfort level. Yeah, that's right, Joel. I care about the dog's comfort level. Oh my gosh, it's so terrible of me. All right, this video has gone on long enough. I'm just going to end that there. Let me know what you think of this video. Cute little doggy. Go say how to do to your little critters. Say how to do for me. Give them some kind of loving that they appreciate. Until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.